The only recent show that I can think of that has any decency or that values its source material and also that values the original fans is Cobra Kai out there. You may argue that seasons 2 and 3 leaned more on the teen drama, but it's not like the original film didn't have any of that. I mean, the main story in the first one was Daniel trying to adapt to his new life in another city, and of course, as a teen, he had extra amounts of drama surrounding the bullying, thoughts, the guys that went after him, and also the girl that he wanted to date that, of course, also happened to be one of the bully's ex. It appears I am not the only one who thinks this, and the Hollywood Reporter got wind of that, and they have allowed for a guest columnist in their site, and that's none other than Hayden Schlossberg, who is the Emmy-nominated showrunner of Cobra Kai. In this guest article that he wrote, he is talking about what makes his show so successful and so accepted by the original fandom of the original 1980s movies. At the same time that it is welcoming, and it has also been welcomed by a new generation of fans. Amongst the rules that he offers for a successful Hollywood remake or revisit to a beloved franchise, Schlossberg has the following points to consider. The first one says, do treat the original franchise with reverence. And he says the following, quote, just as you should honor thy father and mother, so should you honor the franchise you are bringing back. Remember, your show would not exist without the original movie. This is not just IP. This is something precious to millions of people. Treat it that way. End quote. Gee, I wonder which franchise would have benefited from this. Any ideas? Oh yeah, every single one of them. From Star Trek to Star Wars to Doctor Who, these franchises have lasted for decades thanks to the people supporting them. Spitting at the fans is just as spitting right into the sky. It will come back at you and make a mess of you. Hollywood big shots are so encased in their stupid bubbles and safe spaces, they think they're untouchable. They also think they have the power over people and whatever they say. People will take that without questioning. They are of the mind of, we will tell you what to like and you will like it. But in reality, it should be the other way around. I mean, who pays is who rules, and in this case, the fans pay and keep the franchises alive. And if you don't believe me, just look at the shelves in toy aisles and how the Star Wars merchandise is doing nowadays. And then we can talk. Next up, his point says, don't be afraid to make big changes, and he wrote the following, quote, respecting the material doesn't mean you can't be original. Fans don't want to see the same thing they've seen before. Karate Kid fans love Cobra Kai because we took the bully, Johnny Lawrence, from the original movie and made him the underdog of our story. End quote. Between making changes and not changing at all, there is a small spot where you can operate and give fans something that they will keep forever. That will keep them satisfied. That's a spot that is sometimes hard to get. But trying is paramount to succeed when remaking a property or writing a continuation or doing whatever you are trying to do with that franchise. When the Disney sequel trilogy arrived, the greatest gripe fans had with it was that while some characters stayed the same and were even downgraded from where we saw them last in episode 6, such as Han Solo for instance, others were changed so much that nobody could even recognize them, not even the actors who played them before, like Luke Skywalker. So, change, but measure up your changes. Next point, do create new characters to enrich your story and reach younger viewers. And he writes, quote, it's true that if you want to attract a younger audience, it helps to have a younger cast. New characters can bring fresh energy and perspective to your franchise, But, and here comes the next point, don't forget about the original characters or your older audience. Sure, you want to lure younger viewers, but first you must win over the hardcore fans who made your franchise a success, end quote. This might seem like a logical thing to do to anyone, but Hollywood seems too blind to do it. In Masters of the Universe Revelation, they made every conscious effort that they could to subvert the fans' expectations, and fans were not happy with it. Oh no, sir, of course they were not. They first enticed them with the line that this was for them, for those 40-year-old individuals that were the fans of the original show and also of course of the toy line. And what happened? That they gave them nothing whatsoever but the finger, of course. Schlossberg also talks about other things, such as not relying too much on nostalgia but using it properly to propel your project with those memories that the original fandom had for the source material. But also I want to draw attention to the last 2 points in the article, which I believe are pivotal and should also be followed by the likes of those idiots like the Dan Slots out there in the world that are trying all the time to bully the fans, or like the Ryan Johnsons of the world that are mocking the fans alongside the imbeciles at Lucasfilm. And the point says, do respect, encourage and engage your fandom. Schlossberg writes, quote, the best part about working on a famous franchise is that there is a built-in fan base already. Do what you can to turn that fan base into a community. Get them hyped up. Show them you listen and encourage their creativity and passion. End quote. Which is what most retoolers in Hollywood have forgotten about. They are repurposers and they are also embittered. They can't stand to be told they just suck at their job, which is what usually happens when they turn a very poor product. But the worst is that they seek to divide, they tear apart, they destroy. The fandom is already a community, but you can enlarge that fandom by respecting those who came before at the same time that you are trying to bring new seats at the table. The truth is that they don't want to bring them. They don't want new seats. They're kicking the people that were already in and are giving those seats to a new generation with such sterile work that it wouldn't surprise me if these new projects in the future are cherished or loved by no one, and they do not build the nostalgia that, for instance, the originals did with a certain fandom. It's like with the Star Wars trilogies now from Disney. I don't really think that this new trilogy is going to be cherished by anyone moving forward maybe some 10-20 years into the future. The final point that he makes is don't argue with the fans. Seems quite evident and pretty straightforward, right? He writes, quote, there is nothing more futile than trying to convince fans who didn't like something that they are wrong. And indeed, it is hilarious that these Hollywood nobodies who think that they get to decide what you like and want try to shame you into liking something that you don't really want, only to win an argument, only to say that they are right. Just like that blob clone Dan Slott. That son of a gun is bent on having control over the fandom to the point that he argues with the fans even on a private level to gain control over the narrative. People like that piece of shite that Slot is can just go to hell for all I care. Schlossberg is right here in everything that he wrote. This is why Cobra Kai is so loved and Star Trek and the CW superhero shows are on the floor, and even below that they are underground, already buried. They have already gathered a lot of dust. When the companies think they get to dictate what fans will or won't like, they have lost the battle. We as fans have to tell them and let them know that we are in control and that our wallets are the be-all, end-all. If we don't pay for their crap, like pretty likely is going to happen with many upcoming projects, then they are out of a job. Let's make them remember and have them service the fandom once again. That's just, of course, one piece of the things, the many things that we can do. And of course, this is only my opinion, but let me know yours down below in the comments, and until next time, peace out.